All right, welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek Podcast here at the 2023 Midwestern Shed Hauler Barbecue. And I'll tell you what, Howie, just introduce yourself, a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm Howard Mast. I have lived here in Daviess County, Indiana, or the local area, for it's going on 8 years now. So a little bit about myself. I don't feel so young anymore.
Yeah, you look young.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Yeah.
Credits to my gray hair, right?
Well, at least you have hair.
Yeah.
I don't, I interviewed somebody the other day that was 68 and had a head full of hair, and I just put my chin on my chest.
You felt a little jealous, huh?
A little hair envy, yeah.
So, my background actually in the shed industry is I usually tell people that I go as far back as my birth. When I was born, that's the first thing I saw was a shed.
Nice.
My dad actually started in 1989 in North Carolina, Union Grove, North Carolina area. And we would have actually been in a, not really a partnership, but we were working with Ash Building, John Ash.
Okay.
That would be in Burkesville now, that company.
Gotcha.
And so the way I would actually understand through hearsay of the family, right, is that Ash would build a lot of the bigger sheds, and my family built a lot of the smaller ones. And so a lot of we have a lot of connections out there in the shed world now because we go so far back, right?
Yeah.
And guys like, well, Ash, of course, and some of the guys in Greenville, Tennessee, like Roman Kaufman, Enos Kaufman, those are shed guys. Well, Roman is a donut man now, but
man after my own heart.
yeah. And Enos Kaufman is a shed hauler down there, but those are all guys that had connection back to working with my dad when in the early days, You
got to connect me with the donut people.
So
I'm just...
Yeah, Roman Kaufman is actually a donut man in Greenville, Tennessee.
You probably... I don't know if you've not listened to every episode, you wouldn't know this, but like the show started on the premise of not of donuts, but I mean we even got Gideon Zook to come on because we bribed him with a donut at the Shed Hauler Bash in Pennsylvania. So,
I didn't know that.
and if these guys think that I'm joking about my seriousness of donuts, there is a dozen within arm's reach.
I saw that.
It's terrible, but it's the truth. When I show up now, like people like give me a donut, and they just like no, and
they know that
I'm never going to lose weight. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I got you sidetracked.
So yeah, then that was Mast Wood Works. Mast Wood Works at that time. And then we would have been in business from 89 to, I believe it was 92 in Hamptonville, Union Grove area there, North Carolina. And then my family moved to Southern Illinois to help start and build another church there in Southern Illinois. And we would have started Mast Wood Products in Southern Illinois. But at that time, the Southern Illinois shed industry wasn't really that great, and there was one other builder in the area, Cook Buildings.
Cook was all we knew, yeah.
And then there was another one in the Anna area. I'm not sure what the name of that company was.
Well, Martins are from around there, like Leon Martin, but I don't know who would have been building. Like they didn't build sheds at that time.
Not really.
So.
It would be like Preston Ebersol that was here. It'd be his dad, I think, would have been in there somewhat.
Gotcha.
So anyway, then finally in like 94, 95, Dad just went back to general housing construction, and we did some farming as well. And Dad never did like it in Southern Illinois. It's too hot for him. He liked North Carolina. So in 98, we moved back to North Carolina and started building again with the guy that bought our shed company.
Okay.
And we were working in his shop. Dad and the boys were. I was obviously still a little shaver,
Yep.
And Dad and the boys would work for him, and come to find out, well, Dad had talked to him about, we'd like to have a shop at home, to where we can build at home with the boys instead of having to drive to work all the time, And the guy said, well, I guess that's fine, And they put everything in place. And I still remember Dad talking about this as a 11-year-old boy, 10, 11 years old, that we're going to build a shop at home so we can build at home. And last minute, the other guy backs out. He's, he started getting cold feet, And so Dad said, well, I think this is what's going to be best for my family, so we're just going to be your competition. So we restarted up as Mast Wood Works.
Okay.
And then and that business is still going today. And that would have been in about 99, I think, is when we'd have revamped Mast Wood Works. And then in 05, 06 area somewhere, my oldest brother took on the business, and it would still be going as Mast Wood Works in Hamptonville.
Yeah, I've been through Hamptonville. I know some of the builders that built through there, and have even had, and Union Grove Lumber does a studio sponsor right there. So know all the people or players or areas at least you're talking about.
Absolutely.
And I'm a 618 guy myself. I'm a Southern Illinois kid. So we grew up on the Ohio River in a small little river town called Olmsted, which is where the Lock and Dam is.
So if it wouldn't have been for Mo, I mean, it would have been, pretty hard for my dad to even start up where he did. Mo knew our family for a long time, and we actually consider him family friends,
Yeah.
So
how cool is Mo?
He's
just like the
it's about as down earth home country as you can get.
That's the thing. He's the epitome of like the guy who deserves success.
Absolutely.
Like in my book.
Yeah.
Because you just, I don't know, when you get around him, it's like, wow, I've asked him several times. I'm like, what's the keys to success? What's this? What's that?
Absolutely.
I've always heard, if you're the janitor, don't complain, take the CEO to lunch and find out how to be successful. And, I'm like, hey, Mo, what's your secrets, dude? What do you do? And really, I've found this out with most people in success. They typically will dote on the people. And how relationship matters. And,
absolutely.
They'll always come back to that and say, I have nothing without the people that make this process happen.
And customer service and customer relations can be a huge deal to make or break your business, really. And that was one thing that we always felt that Mo had. He was always there to look out for your back. If you needed something, he didn't think twice.
Yeah.
And another one that we always remembered that I remembered as a little kid, Mo's daddy, Alan.
I've met him.
Yeah,
I have met him.
He used to haul some lumber out there.
Okay.
And we'd always have to talk, and every time he'd come out, he'd sing a little tune for us.
Okay.
They do some picking.
A lot of music. Well,
Clay and Al and Mo.
Yeah.
So Alan would always have this little song for us that he'd sing at least one, and probably the song that I remember the most was the Mountain Dew song. He'd sing the Mountain Dew song for us.
Do you remember the Mountain Dew song?
Oh yes, I know it.
You're not gonna sing it?
I don't know.
Maybe we can get Alan to sing it one time with you.
We maybe need to get Alan to sing it. Just pick it, but.
I'll have to find out more off air about the Mountain Dew song.
I know a little bit more about the Mountain Dew song than I probably care to admit right now.
This is not an advertisement, by the way, right now, that I'm drinking a Mountain Dew. So,
but it wasn't that kind of Mountain Dew it's singing about.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
the literal Mountain Dew.
Yeah, it was a literal Mountain Dew.
All right, I got you. It's pretty good. Yeah.
The one line, I'll sing the one line.
Yeah, go for it.
My Uncle Nort, he's sawed off and short. He measures about 4'2", but he thinks he's a giant when you give him a pint of that good old Mountain Dew.
Oh man, wait a minute. There we go. That's what I'm talking about right there. That might be the first. You don't want me singing on here, so I'm glad you did that. That was awesome.
There we go.
Yeah, very, very cool people. Love the Hamptonville area. What's really cool about that area is like, go west and hit the mountains, go east and hit the ocean.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. I still actually consider that home. Yeah. Even though I've lived in a couple different areas already, I do consider that home, and honestly, kind of foresee myself moving back there one of these days.
Okay.
So
yeah.
And my family's still there, my mom and daddy, and they're getting, in their mid-70s, and try to help them out, be there for them, as we can,
So
while we can.
Where were you at when you guys were in Southern Illinois?
Ava,
okay.
Campbell Hill area.
Yeah,
Yep.
Sure. Not too far. About a just a little bit above Carbondale.
Absolutely.
So,
I would actually have I have one brother and a sister living in the Ava area yet, and then I have a brother in Carbondale that actually builds for Cardinal.
Okay.
So they're
small world, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just down the road.
Yeah.
So, but I know the area well. I mean, we would have grown up going to that, and yeah, I think Cook started in '86, I think it was. But like when we were growing up, and there might have been a couple of these in different areas that you were in Hamptonville. It might have been a particular company in Southern Illinois and Northern Michigan, wherever it was. But Cook was sort of that one and only brand name
around
sort of there.
Yeah.
And they accidentally marketed themselves not knowing. So like when I started selling sheds later, everything in Southern Illinois was so well known as a Cook shed.
Absolutely.
That whenever I was selling sheds, they would come up to the lot and be like, what kind of Cook sheds you got here? And it was like, well, these aren't Cook. It's another brand.
Right.
So like I sold for Summit for a while, and I said, these are Summit,
Absolutely.
sheds. And they would say, man, I've never heard of a Summit Cook shed. But, so and I'm like, well.
What years did you sell for Summit?
Oh, this was 2016, maybe. So this was
because
much later.
Okay, so we can lead up to the Summit story, but if we can back up a little bit and continue on, we'll come back to this Summit deal.
Okay.
Because I know where that started.
Okay.
Is your current sales and inventory management system complicated and frustrating? Are you tired of juggling multiple systems to keep track of your business? Those challenges are a thing of the past with a dealer management system powered by RTO National. With the DMS, you can easily process any type of sale with just a few clicks. Leave messy paperwork in the past and welcome in streamlined processes. The intuitive e-commerce links allows customers to browse and shop your inventory anytime, anywhere. Track transportation, payments, and contracts efficiently using our unparalleled service request management and transportation tracking tools. Detailed reporting within the system allows you to track every sale and payment, helping you make data-backed decisions to grow your business. Revolutionize your current workflow with the dealer management system. Explore the user-friendly interface and experience the DMS firsthand by scanning the QR code or emailing us at contactus@rtonational.com to request a demo.
So back to North Carolina. When I got out of school, so obviously I got recruited into the shop, right? And what we did, I mean, after school, there'd always be a building there to roof, and I was the little roofer, And I couldn't wait till I graduated from school, and I could actually help finish these buildings, So after I graduated, I was actually I was trimming buildings and painting and things like that, and generally in the finish area, the buildings. So then in 2006, when my oldest brother bought the family business, my family once again moved to assist another church again, and that was in Princeton, Kentucky, just south of here.
No, Princeton, yeah.
Lived there for about 6 years.
Okay.
And then we did some farming. Us boys did a lot. We actually did some timber cutting and things like that. A lot of custom work. And then in about 2010, 2011, I think the reality started hitting Dad that, you know what, the boys probably ain't gonna be with him all his life, So, and starting to think about this thing that got a couple 100-acre farm, and what are you gonna do when all your boys are gone, And so my oldest brother actually got Dad convinced to he said, hey, why don't you just move back to North Carolina? I'll give you a job in the office and you can help out there, and we'll just roll with it, and you can be my assistant, with figures and whatever in the office. So then Dad moved back. So I guess you can literally say that North Carolina has its drawbacks.
Literally. Wait, we got to get more on here. There we go. Yeah, I love it.
So in 2011-ish, Dad moved back to North Carolina, and that at that point then we'd have been Amish all that time, new with the Amish group. And then in 2011, I would have left the Amish group and joined the Mennonites in southeast Missouri.
And you're all around me.
Absolutely.
What's going on? Are you kidding?
Yeah, I lived in Advance area was my address. So I lived in Advance for 4 years, and I was working with some of my cousin's son-in-law was building sheds for Premier.
Okay.
Now, this isn't the Premier that we know of today.
Yeah.
But it was a Premier.
This is where you're going to Summit. I know where you're at.
So I was working and building with Premier for, I think it was right around 2 years. And then I got called on the mission field in Ukraine. And September of 13 till March of 14, I went to Ukraine on a short-term mission for about 6 months. And then during that time, the guy that was running the shop, my cousin's son-in-law, decided he wanted to do something different. So the guy that actually owned the business bought the shop and everything in the shop, and he called me up and was like, hey, I'm between a rock and a hard place. This guy was Steve Yoder. He would be he's got a rental company. I forget what his rental business is called now. Premier Rentals.
It was Premier, I believe.
Premier Rentals.
Yeah.
Or something. He's out of Ohio now. So he called me up before I came back from Ukraine and was like, hey, I've got a position for you if you want it. And so when I came back, I was actually worked for him as shop foreman and managing the shop and keeping everything running there.
Was this at the Advance
Yes.
building? It's not on 67.
It's on
what's that route?
Highway 25.
25.
South out of Advance, about 5 miles or so.
That's right. You just so if you're heading toward Dexter, you'll just go north.
Yeah.
Just a little ways, yeah.
About, I think it's about 10 miles north of Dexter.
Been to that shop several times.
Absolutely, yeah. I put a lot of hours in there.
No kidding.
Yeah. So then I was working for Steve in there managing for a little over a year, and then in the fall of 2015. No, actually, it wouldn't have been a year. About 6 or 8 months. That the local area up here in southern Indiana, a fellow that knew me, they were needing a school teacher up here at their local Mennonite school. And he called me up and said, hey, we got a problem. We need a school teacher. Would you be interested? And I said, well, I don't know. I never taught school before. Never thought of myself as a teacher, you know. Mm-hmm. I love working with kids, you know, and, interacting. We had a big family, you know, and had a lot of nieces and nephews, so I'd always like interacting with kids all my life, you know. So I was about 25 at that point, and school was ready to start, so I had a fast commitment to make. So I said yes, and I talked to Steve and made sure he was okay with that, and he said, hey, if you feel the Lord calling you to southern Indiana to teach school, you just, you know, who am I to say no? So I appreciated his attitude on that, you know, that he was willing to, you know, just say, hey, you know, if that's what your calling is, then you need to go. And then at that point, Enos Kaufman, his boys would have been working in the shop with me. So then Enos just took my place, and him and his boys worked with Steve there. And I came up here and been here ever since. I was a single guy still at that point. And, in the second school term, I fell in love with my co-teacher, my lovely wife. She's sitting over there at the merch booth right now. Fell in love with her, and we started a relationship in the spring of 17, and then got married in December of 17. Oh, so, and then in the process of that time, after I moved up here about a year later, then Steve sold the business to what is now Summit.
Yeah, so that would have been Irvin and Nelson, and
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
funny how it all comes together. And,
oh yeah.
Well, I mean, we can. So we'll start name dropping just because, like, it's kind of strange. I always look for the areas that God's trying to talk to you in connections. And how everything is connected, and everything is like, they talk about that 6th degree or whatever, and some people might say, well, that's not really all that entertaining, but for me, it's crazy entertaining to think about. Well, you being in Southern Illinois, you know, I had a dealer lot in Madisonville.
Okay.
And then I have a sister that lives in Bowling Green and used to live in Dawson.
Yeah.
You know,
Dawson Springs.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the fact that you were all around that area, SEMO,
Yeah.
my son's at SEMO College right now.
Oh, wow.
He's but I have a brother that lives in south of Cape Girardeau, and one that lives in north of Cape Girardeau.
Oh, wow.
So when you were talking about SEMO and Sykeston, I mean, like we used
Absolutely.
to, Boot Hill Rodeo, we used to go to Wally's Choo Choo at Boomland, like growing up. And some people were like, well, that's probably boring conversation. But
The only reason I went to Boomland is to buy fireworks and hot sauce.
I stopped by there on every one of my shed trips, like on the way home.
Yeah.
Because, like you can come into Paducah from that back area.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But you're right there in Illinois. So it's kind of funny. And like, I really worked that territory when I was working sales for Irvin. So I found Irvin while we were selling buildings, and they were selling painted buildings where we sold. And we just wanted more to offer. And that's how I first reached out to Irvin and met him, and then end up meeting Emery. Nelson's father, and he was just awesome. Come to find out, he was one of the original builders for Durksen.
Yeah.
He grew up down in the Paris, Tennessee area with the owner. And then next thing you know, he bought the original Durksen property there on Westbrook Road in Mayfield, which you probably know, which is now owned by Jason Gingrich, who was here today.
Yeah, my brother actually, I have a brother living down there and goes to church with Jason.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've got family all over. I mean,
hey, Deanna, I need to write a new ad for ShedHub. Give me some ideas.
Why don't you do something catchy like the insurance commercials do all the time, where they just repeat the same thing over and over?
Like a little jingle or something like that.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that be embarrassing?
That is kind of the point.
What type of music?
Try rap.
ShedHub helps you sell shed.
Maybe country.
ShedHub helps you sell sheds.
Rock and roll.
ShedHub helps you sell sheds.
Maybe just go back to your normal writing style.
ShedGeek and ShedHub are now collaborating to make for a better customer experience. I want to save you some money. ShedHub is focused on signing up the next 500 customers. We're calling it the Next 500 Plan.
Real creative.
You think it'll help if I sing again?
I'd rather you not.
Well, that makes two of us.
So what's the next 500 plan?
The Next 500 plan is simple. This will include 100 listings per month, per location, along with the Brand Builder website. And the plan will last for 1 full year.
But how do they save money?
It only costs $39 a month. There's never been a better time to sign up. Just go to geek.shedhub.com, click subscribe, enter your name, email, and payment information, and you will be contacted by a ShedHub employee to get you onboarded for just $39 per month. ShedHub helps you sell shed. The reason I find it interesting is because it's such a small industry to be so large.
absolutely.
The people that are connected, and it's really beautiful to hear like the stories. Nelson has since moved on. He's doing he's got I think a roll former, and he's building post frame stuff.
Absolutely.
And he's up in Cuba, Missouri now.
I just hear a lot of that through other people talking about it. But yeah,
and Irvin was a school teacher at one point,
Yeah.
so that was one
Yeah,
of the
I think
things
so.
that I really. But yeah, I've been at that Advance shop. I've known you for 2 years, and I had no idea you spent 1 second in that Advance shop.
Absolutely.
Actually, it's funny because Airworks was here today. They were one of your sponsors here today, and I bought a new DeWalt drill from them. And the only reason for that's because I actually bought all the DeWalt drills out from that shop.
what the world?
Yeah. It was
What
probably
the-
tools that you used.
So, well, we used to use actually all Milwaukee back in
Okay.
that day, but it's a good chance like a lot of that stuff changed out. Is the speaker system still in the shop?
It
Up above that south saw line?
It might have been, but I never.
We put it in there because we had
Did
to
you?
like have something to
Some music.
Yeah,
and-
we worked to music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Dave. You probably knew David. David worked in there for a while.
David Troyer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he worked with me.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
I used to go down and like inspect those buildings.
Oh, yeah.
I would do quality control on that, and so it's. I mean, I spent a ton of time there.
Oh,
in
yes.
Advance.
Yeah, David's one of a kind.
He is. And honestly, it was a great opportunity
Yeah.
for me, especially because I had some time in purchasing and things like that. So, like, this is what I love about real conversation on the podcast is
Yeah.
like, I had no idea we had even that much in common between Hamptonville and Union Grove and Southern Illinois
Yeah.
and now Southern Indiana, which, out of all of those, I got to be honest with you, I love the state of Indiana. I like where I live, but man, it's just been beautiful. My travels through.
I don't know why all these Illinois people get jealous about Indiana people.
Oh, you know why? you got to know why. If you got your eyes open. I know. I hate to hate on my state, but you know, when you live on a border like we do to Kentucky or to Indiana or Missouri or it's there's 6 people leaving for every one coming in.
Yeah,
and
we
lost
actually
our largest employer. Caterpillar went to Texas.
They did now.
They did.
I mean, they were. That's what made up
huge.
Peoria.
It made up the whole. I mean, it's the largest employer in the state.
So,
but politics are just killing it out. And I don't like to be political on the show, but there's. I mean, it's just reality.
Yeah.
You know.
So this will be leading up to where I started with NEPS now, so I recessed from teaching in 2019 at the spring of 2019, and actually I had another thing I was going to chase. There was a guy that contacted me about working in office space and with cabinetry, and that never panned out. And then that fall, I was contacted by the shop that Cliff hauls for, that Nep hauls for.
Okay.
And he knew me, and it's really cool how these roots even go back in the day before I was even born. My dad and Prairie builder up here, Tim Yoder's dad, used to work together.
Okay.
And so Tim contacted me. He knew of my past shed experience, and he offered a position up there to work. And I had been in contact with Nep before about possibly having a driving position, but he didn't have any availability then. So I worked at the shop for about 7-8 months, and then Cliff got a position open for me, and so then I started with Neps and drove for him for 3 years.
Okay.
Until July of 22, there was a school started up again, a brand new school that asked me to come in and help them get set up and started. So I'm on my 2nd year with them now, helping them get their roots down and kind of get established. So this will be my 6th term in education.
Nice. So it's worked out.
Yeah.
What you wasn't so sure about ended up.
Yeah, absolutely. So, from Missouri, came up here, taught 4 terms. I really love it. It's really good. And then, obviously I started growing a family, and sometimes school finances don't really cover a growing family, so
it's tough.
You have to really look out for that. So that's kind of why I was looking a little bit for something else for a while. But now with currently, they're pretty supportive of, they know that, I've also got financial needs as well.
Sure.
So they're willing to make up for that. And this summer, as summer jobs, sometimes it's kind of hard to find good summer work for a school teacher because, people look at you like, well, you're just going to be in here for three months, you're short term, they don't care how much experience you have.
Right.
But I was pretty glad for Cliff this summer. I would do some pilot service for him occasionally. And if one of his drivers need to go on vacation or something, I'd fill the seat, I was still on his insurance. Cool. So that was pretty awesome. And I built on sites for the shed company, so I had a full summer.
Cliff's awesome, guys.
So absolutely.
Hello, shed seller. Do you feel like some days you are on an island trying to navigate through the complexity of perfecting your shed sales process? For years, the shed seller has often had the do the best you can standard. At ShedU, we want to help you make doing the best you can more than guesswork with a proven shed sales process. ShedU was created for you, the shed seller, and aims to help you, the shed seller, learn the best techniques for selling sheds. How do we do that? Elements of Shed University include sheducation you deserve as a shed seller, such as sales process management, lead follow-up, and sales script development. But wait, there's more. Attending ShedU is double the fun, because after you attend ShedU on January 23rd and 24th of 2024 at the Knoxville Convention Center, you can attend the Garage Shed Carport Builder Show on January 24th and 25th. That's right. all registrants for ShedU receive complimentary admission to the GSCB show, which includes even more educational opportunities. If you have been wanting to improve your shed sales process for yourself or your sales team, be sure to attend Shed University, the obvious choice to grow your shed sales. At Shed University, class is now in session. How did the Midwest Shed Haulers barbecue begin? This is my second time in attendance. This is your
Third year.
Third year?
Yes.
So how did you and Cliff get together on this to just make this happen for your community?
That's a great question. So what really spearheaded this whole thing was in 2021, March of 21, when the bash was in Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
Cliff and Joe and I went to the Pennsylvania bash. We took 2 of our trucks out. We had brand new WKM trailers. It was Joe and I's brand new trailers.
Okay.
And so we took 2 semis out there for that bash, and we were just like, this is great, And I think at that bash there was 130 trucks at that bash. It was just the networking with the people of your kind is just there's something about that. I've always said I don't think you find that in much of other industries, where you're actually getting together and enjoying barbecue with your competition and having laughs and good times together. It's all about seeing what you can learn from other guys and having some fun in the process. A couple competitions and whatever.
Sure.
I mean,
good food. I
enjoyed it, even though I was the first mule competition guy out there and got disqualified. It was great,
Yeah, you guys threatened to put me on a mule, and I threatened to be your entertainment at that point. So
yeah, that
wasn't going to happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we came home, and Joe and I, we would talk daily. We'd be driving, and we'd call each other and keep each other bugged and whatever. So I don't know which one of us, but one of us were like, why can't we do that here? I mean, why not?
Yeah.
We're out here in the Midwest, and we should be able to do something here because we felt like there's so many guys here in the Midwest that aren't going to drive to Pennsylvania. They aren't going to drive to, South Carolina or wherever where all these other barbecues were or whatever. So we decided we'll start. So Joe and I got Cliff on board, and we started talking to Cliff about this. Cliff, you think we can do the one here? So it was like, are you sure? Like, you think so? And we were like, yeah, absolutely we can. We can do this. So we knew if we get Cliff's support in it, we can make a go of it, because he obviously has a bigger name in the shed hauling world and on, the Shed Haulers Facebook page than what Joe and I did.
he's got resources.
Absolutely.
And he's got, yeah. And, I didn't realize how many trucks he had, even being here last year.
Yeah.
As I was looking out there today, I was like, nap. I was like,
and one of his trucks isn't even here.
He said one was broke down.
Yeah.
But he's really just, Cliff's just like somebody that you naturally gravitate toward, though.
Yeah.
Kind of feel like no matter who you are, you can start talking to him and feel like you know him.
Yeah, we always get it. So our punchline this summer with Cliff was, what he put into when they did the interview for the Shed Builders magazine. Did you read that?
Maybe.
He did an interview.
I try to catch them all, but I'm struggling to remember that one.
So the editor, Matt Poe.
Yep.
He did it was like an email interview with Mervyn Miller and Cliff Knepp. And it was quite interesting because Cliff was talking about how, back when he was a young guy, started hauling sheds 18 years ago, how he couldn't believe it that these people were just pulling off the side of the road for him. He said, and the expression was it just felt like his masculinity was in full bloom.
I love it.
So we chewed that one quite a bit this summer.
That's nice.
Yeah, we thought that was great. So we've been gigging that one ever since. I was going to use it for a punchline sometime today, but I forgot.
We're going to have to get a shirt that says Nep Trucking, where masculinity. is in full bloom.
Yeah.
we'll have to come up with something. Next year's cups or
like
a calendar in your calendars.
Yeah, something like that. Have a shirt just for Cliff that says "My masculinity is now in full bloom."
I love it. Well, he is just a cool dude. But I mean, I can see where you guys, and you have a natural stage presence to do this anyway, man. I think you're a really great speaker, and probably your teaching, has put you in front of a crowd
absolutely
to become, but people so now you've done this 3 years in a row. By the way, I was there at the Pennsylvania Bash. Matter of fact, now I just launched a podcast.
I see.
So we set up by the stage.
Yeah.
And had just launched it. I think we got a couple there like Jason Graber, Gideon Zook, lured him in with a donut. And I got Richard Miller. Did an episode there, which is to this day the most listened to episode,
I guess,
from way back then. From like our third episode or something. We had done one or two before then, but outside of that, so it's kind of funny that we even ran into each other there. But yeah, well, I think these things are good when you hear about them popping up. Martin Hostetler down in Montezuma.
Absolutely.
Caleb and Mervin, and sorry, I don't know the other guy in Texas. I haven't been down there yet to the Texas one yet. And he's probably known more than all of them. And I just, we haven't crossed paths, but they just had a pop up one in Missouri recently.
Yeah, the SEMO.
Yeah, obviously, there's probably, and who knows, maybe more to happen, but it's networking.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It works because it's networking.
Yeah.
And I do think that people come here, I think they sit down at the table, and I will stand by this. The best podcast you never heard is sitting at those tables when things are going on, when prizes are being handed out in that parking lot, when they're doing competitions or just talking about their rigs.
Absolutely.
The show and shines, whatever. But what I do is kind of eavesdrop. Yeah. I'll just kind of walk around and look at the trucks, but I'll listen to some of the conversations that's happening. It's very valuable information if you're in this trade. Yeah. And there's a lot of shed builders
even
here
present.
today.
Yeah. We have a lot of sponsors that are actually shed builders.
Sure.
So I think probably out of our sponsor list, we probably had at least 5 shed builders, and several that couldn't even be here. They just called us up and said, "Hey, what can we do to help?"
Yeah.
And that's really awesome that they are willing to, they know what this type of event does for their guys, and they're willing to support it.
Absolutely.
That's just great.
Yeah.
So, then from there we started planning and figuring out. So what do we go for a name? How do we name this guy? Well, we're obviously in the Midwest, and so we collaborated a little bit with Sam to make sure that our name is okay.
Let's give him one of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, where's the other? No, that's not it. Oh, I can't find it now. There we go. He'll appreciate that.
Sam. And he couldn't be here this year.
He couldn't. I called him today and talked to him and told him that we missed him, and I'm sure others did too. Yeah, and I'm sure he'll be back next year.
So we called Sam or talked to him and asked him about a name thing. Is there a certain thing, with the, should we call it the Midwest Shed Hauler Bash? And they preferred that, we're considered the smaller version of the bash, right?
Yep,
so all the small versions are called barbecues.
Yep.
And so we just went with Midwest Shed Haulers Barbecue and stuck together a logo that lasted the first 2 years, and then this year we decided, well, thanks to our engraver, the guy that does a lot of our engraving and things, he suggested that we find something else for a logo, because he said it was so hard to work with the logo we had. So I got a professional guy to revamp the logo, and we're really impressed with it. Nice. With the new logo.
Yeah, so it looks awesome. Love what you guys did with the merch this year.
Yeah.
I mean, the gallon jug, bought one of those.
Absolutely.
I don't know, only spent about $200 on your merchandise. But that's fine. I love to support it.
Yeah.
But the different colored shirts and all that. But it's I don't know, man. It's community when you come out and do these things. What's like your favorite thing to take away from like especially the hauler event, whether it be here or at the, I think it's every 18-month bash. They had just the one was in Utah before that was in. Is that Pennsylvania before
Pennsylvania,
that?
I think.
But what do you take away from things like this, and what do you tell people to encourage them to be here? So,
obviously, the number one thing would be just simply what we came back to is the networking thing. Just being here and interacting with other guys that do what you do. I'll say this carefully, but if you're not willing to come to an event like this and just even expose your vulnerability to, when you're under competition or whatever, and just being a good sport and showing your abilities, because somebody else can learn from that. Whether it's showing your rig or whatever you have, that's a good idea even for the next guy that's here that's maybe interested in upgrading his rig, to kind of look for maybe some things that he might want to do or not do to his rig. So it's a lot about, probably in a nutshell, it's a lot about the community that it involves, the shed hauler community, getting you together and just having a good day of fellowship together and learning from each other's mistakes and maybe even their comedy out there.
Yeah.
Hey, Shannon, who is this Cal person I keep hearing about?
Cal, that's actually an affordable software solution for shed manufacturers and dealers. Cal helps streamline your order management, delivery, point of sale, and e-commerce.
What about RTO and RTO Pro?
Yes, on both accounts. Cal handles both in-house and RTO companies with a very easy step-by-step process that produces a web-based contract.
What about my Idea Room configurator?
Cal and Idea Room are seamlessly integrated. Cal is definitely worth checking out. Call Tristan at 425-359-3279 or visit calcanhelp.com. So I was talking with Jonathan Miller, Cardinal Leasing, big sponsor,
Absolutely.
Big shout out to him for what he does to support you guys and your efforts and things like that here. And we were talking about this, the shed show and all that will probably be long gone by the time this airs. But, we were kind of talking about collaboration. This year's MBSRA theme is, collaboration.
Yeah.
And, we've been sort of using the tagline that Tyler Mahan started, 2.5 years ago with a rising tide lifts all boats. And me and him were dissecting the conversation about collaboration and competition. And what's clear to me, even if I don't have a clear understanding of how to put everything with a tidy little bow on top of all of those conversations, is this is a perfect example of where your competition can come together to collaborate.
Absolutely.
Like being at these events, it's like you can be here, but all this does is really lift the tide, doesn't it? Because It makes us all a little bit better at our job.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, if you learn from others,
and you go home with kind of a fresh energy.
And maybe even a Milwaukee hammer like I won today. So
Thor's hammer.
Thor's hammer, yeah. So, but I mean, you guys give away cool stuff.
Absolutely.
It creates community. There's coffee. There's tools. There's kids running all over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It feels like fellowship.
Like to try to keep it family friendly too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
These kids just love walking out of here with their fishing poles and bicycles and stuff. They're just smiling,
Absolutely.
We had one little kid up there in the front today. He was just bouncing up and down, and the minute I said his name, he was just popped up and he was ready to go. They live for that. It's great. And even with all the sponsors, like I mentioned today on stage, that these sponsors, they do a lot for us. They're kind of the hidden behind the scenes people. Yeah, we put their name up on the plaque, but they're kind of our behind the scenes people that are really the guys that support.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's some sweat and blood that has to go into it, but without them, we wouldn't have an event.
Yeah.
Or we wouldn't be able to do door prizes that we do. That's a lot of where that comes from. And then also connecting the shed haulers with a lot of our vendors out here, Cardinal, they get to have a discussion with maybe multiple haulers at one time and receive input and feedback.
Very valuable.
From their guys in the field.
Yep.
How to do, maybe it's on a design issue that they need to change on their product,
No, absolutely. Love it. And they're always supportive to be at all the events. I've tried to pick, Cliff's brain and Mervin's brain. He always comes up and I'm like, hey, how can I help? I love win-wins. You know what I mean? So like, just tell me how I can help. And if it's create conversation or whatever, and if you don't want me to help, so just tell me. Don't help.
Maybe we need to get you up on the stage next year to help with like the 315.
Do like some giveaways or something like that.
Yeah, some giveaways.
I don't know. I'm pretty afraid of the microphone.
No, you're never heard such a bad joke before.
Yeah, we need.
I would
more.
Never know.
Where are they at?
La la la.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah. No. I so believe it or not, I know this is surprise you, but I'm grew up a little more shy than what you would believe. Like it's kind of crazy. Like every time, and today I'm wearing the orange bow tie and the suspenders.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this. It would have looked great if I would have wore your orange suspenders and you would have wore your black ones.
I should have done it. I got them out in the RV. We should have done it. We'll have to set something up for a future show on that. But honestly, I'm proud and happy to help in any way that I possibly could. For sure. It's I love being at these events. It takes effort, it takes time, fuel, money, all those stuff. But I want to be here.
Yeah.
I love being at these events. Going down to Martin's, I want to go to Texas. The first time I've been out there. Travis Parks and J.D. Perry and what they do in Oklahoma. I was like, hey, man, been there 2 years in a row. I'm like, we're coming back next year with the RV. I was like, we're going to hang out for a weekend if we can.
That's at the Tri-State? 4 states.
4 state.
4 states. That's what it is. I've never been to that one yet.
Yeah, very, very cool. And all the people are really nice. And, of course, we'll go to the Shed Hauler Bash and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
And I love being involved in seeing what the haulers are doing. It was really cool to be in Michigan and have a get-together with them recently. And I always try to make those commitments. Who knows? Maybe I'll try to find somebody who'll start sponsoring those dinners or something like that.
Absolutely.
So we can bring some more people out. But and anybody who does want to do that, call me. I'm turning down nothing but my caller here, Howie. So, man, me and you could just talk for days. I'd love to know more about not just your shed story, but where you think the shed industry is going and all that. And maybe what we can do is get on a, like next year, whenever I show up, we'll get a bunch of guys together and just have a chat or something like that. Whatever provides value to the industry, I'm all for.
Absolutely.
I am going to do something that I've been doing recently. I'm going to give you a question or 2 or 3. I'm going to try not to be long-winded because I always am. And I'm going to let you turn the microphone around and give the geeks some interview questions, whether it's personal, business, professional, podcasting, whatever, you name it. Just ask whatever might be on your mind, and I'll transparently answer in as short and effective as way as possible.
Okay, we'll try.
All right.
My first question to you is probably going to be, what was the first thing that piqued your interest in the shed industry?
Great question. The first thing that piqued my interest. So I started in purchasing. It was relationship driven is how I got started in purchasing. But probably what piqued my interest was after working in it for a while, finding out how different things are, like going up in the Northeast. And one of your sponsors here today, SmartPay, went up there, met Dave Miller. He took us around and was seeing some of the different sheds that was up there, and it felt way different than home. The models felt different. The way they were, not consigning and just people bringing them, that they were, treating their lots. And I'm not saying that consignment guys don't do this, but they were, they own their lots, they own their inventory. A lot of them own their own trucking system and process. So the investment that they put into their business, that probably, I would say, intrigued me the most as far as changed my thought and direction of the industry the most. So It's the best answer I got. It was interesting to me to be like, wait a minute, things are done way different.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of big guys around here, a lot of big box stores, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 dealerships.
Yeah. Yeah, and that even that can make for another long-winded discussion right there. But even that, back in the day when my daddy started in '89, that was not even heard of.
Mm-hmm.
So, what year exactly did Durksen and some of those start up?
Oh gosh,
I know. Blank on that.
So I know Cook started in '86. Durksen, I could be wrong on this, but I want to say around 90, 91 maybe.
It was somewhere in there, but even like back in those days, the whole shed world was ran differently.
Yeah.
You didn't have this thing of like, I still plainly remember, when I was 16 and doing a little bit of sales for my dad, when the dealers would call, we had dealers where they would buy wholesale product from us, and then they would, have their own thing. Then we had sales lots where we would put inventory with no salesman at all. Then people would call and say, hey, I want building X, and purchase it off the lot. I felt like it wasn't until some of these guys really started expanding out, and then they just were looking for like dealers, just basically just run their sales lot, and that really changed the whole.
It does change it. That consignment model, allows you to throw multiple dealerships out there, and it sort of, I feel like it became. I suffered from the back end of this whenever I worked with Summit and was running their sales. I kind of suffered from the let's go throw for the companies that did this. Let's just go throw some inventory on somebody's lot or somebody's car dealership or something like that. And it was a secondary income for them, but then for some it stays a secondary income.
Yeah.
So then the commitment just didn't seem the same as like what I saw in the Northeast, because like everybody they had skin in the game. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like they took it way more serious, and it kind of thinned out the herd.
Yeah.
To an extent.
To more serious buyers and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they when you have to sell, you invest in yourself. Whenever
Absolutely.
if there's no floor plan and you got $80,000 in inventory sitting there, and there's no recourse if you don't sell anything. I mean, I'm not trying to be critical. I'm just saying like some guys would just be like, we'll do the best we can.
Yeah.
And I think that's where so we started talking about like professional sales development and things like that, and creating programs for things like that. So I don't know. I don't have it all figured out.
Do you think anything would be related to like general population's financials, like status anymore? Like it would be pretty hard. Like I think so anyway. Like it would be pretty hard to find dedicated dealers even in the wholesale market to come at you and say, hey, I want to set up for a wholesale dealer. And you say, well, are you going to set up 15 to 20 sheds on your lot? Are you it's going to take $50,000 or $60,000 to get started, or more than that,
It depends on probably, I will venture to say this, and though it might get me in trouble, you try to keep me out of trouble if you can here.
Okay.
I would think it would venture to say it's what your church might allow in terms of things like technology.
Could be.
And the reason I'm saying that's because technology's like all around us, so the shed industry doesn't get to be absolved from that. So what I think that you're seeing a lot of times is like guys who like to build sheds say, I just want to keep building sheds, but I don't want to be in the world of CRMs and SEO and all these other things. But they want to work with people they trust. I mean, this is why we created a marketing campaign, is because we felt like, even though there's other trusted resources in the industry, we could create one on our own.
Yeah.
And then like show results, and then let those results speak for themselves, and then grow a campaign off of that. But a lot of these guys are like, if someone wants to take care of my online sales and somebody wants to take care of my marketing, go for it.
Yeah.
Because we just want to build sheds.
Yeah.
But if we have to be pulled into the world of all of that other stuff, we just might not want to do that. So
I think that would depend a lot on what area you're into.
Sure.
Whether, obviously if you're dealing with in the Amish world, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they might have a little bit more reservations with you know, getting too technical and things
Sure.
like that, where they shy away from technology, you know, too much. So yeah, I can definitely see where that would be a beneficial area for them to just have more of a wholesale market, you know, for their guys, and let those guys take care of that.
take care of that.
Take care of
Yep.
that side of the business, yeah.
And you do see a lot of that, I think, in like Pennsylvania and other areas like that, so that, you know, they can kind of do what they want to do. Anytime you take like the personality test, I mean, like you're even seeing a lot of coaching, consulting services and things like that hit the industry. And one of the things that almost shows up immediately is personality tests, because people trying to assess your strengths, your weaknesses, and things like that. And those things are important and they all matter. But the reason for that, I think, is because a leopard typically doesn't change its spots. If you're good at something, that's what you're good at.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's finding the right fit for you. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm huge on vision. I told Jonathan Miller today, I said I'm rich on ideas. I'm bankrupt on implementation. I said, so, you know, I know my strengths, and I have to get around people who can implement things well. So it's really just, you know, if you're not comfortable with talking about, you know, CRMs and SEO and all these things that kind of help keep you in front of customers, and you're like, you know what, we just wanted to build sheds. It's where we got started, and it's what we want to stay. Then it matters to work with people that you trust to just do those things. And do those programs exist already? Is there, coming back to collaboration, should we just be collaborating more to create those systems, or taking what's already in place and finding out, hey, where's a win-win for you? You know what I mean? And me, like, where does it? So
where's the balance?
Where's the balance? And for, you know, while we're still in competition, like, where are the areas that we can like raise the industry and the standards for the industry and the bar for the industry? And that's what to me, that's why I got. Only reason I missed Texas last year is because we had something going on with our daughter. I mean, otherwise I'd be at every single one of them. Like I said, it takes effort to be here.
Yes,
absolutely. It takes fuel. It takes dedication, and it takes a genuine sincerity of wanting to be in the industry and like know these people and talk to them. And you learn so much.
Yeah.
So like the networking goes beyond just knowing the nuances of how to operate a shed, trailer, or a mule. It's, you know, I don't mind. We closed a video while we were here. I don't mind saying that. I try not to plug too much, but we closed on a video while we were here. Yeah. Because we did a video for Summit 5 years ago. LP picked it up. I started showing people that, and we finally marketed it. And it's like, man, come do that for our company. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, great. Right. So not just plugging myself or my company or whatever. It's also like there's opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So show up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's great.
I'll get off my soapbox now.
That's all right. That's okay.
Any other questions? Any other thing that you'd think to ask? I'm happy to answer if you have. Okay.
You have anything for me?
Oh, man, I probably more blown away that you spent so much time at that Advance shop, and I haven't known that for 2 years. That blows my mind. You're going to keep doing this?
Yeah.
As far as you know, you and Cliff.
Absolutely. I think as far as probably as long as I'm here anyway, you know, unless I move back home. to the Carolinas.
Awesome. So. Dude, you're natural on stage. People know you who show up here, and they can see the energy. They say sales is a transfer of enthusiasm, and I can certainly see your enthusiasm while you're up there.
I appreciate it.
Glad to help. You do a great job. Whatever I can do to promote you more and your processes, let me know. For those who want to show up, it'll be here again next year.
Absolutely. It's always in the month of September. Okay. Is what we're shooting for. We'd really like to get a weekend nailed down. So obviously the last 2 years we had it the third weekend in September, which is always the weekend before the shed show. And so some of our sponsors were giving us some input on that. Mm-hmm. The scheduling is pretty tight for them.
That's close, yeah.
So we wanted to bump it up to at least the second weekend or something. Is it the fourth weekend? Was it the fourth weekend the first 2 years? I think the third weekend, it usually doesn't work for Sam. So we were like, well, you know, we want to make sure it works for him because his family always goes camping. And then we tried a different weekend, and they already had the facility rented. So we're trying to play with that, but most of the time you can plan on it being here in September.
Well, it's a great opportunity. Had some really good brisket here. The competitions were awesome. You're going to feel welcome if you show up. And
Absolutely.
if you show up and you're not sure who people are, that's okay. Start introducing yourself.
Start with the weather, if nothing else.
That's right.
We had a beautiful day today.
We did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, certainly could talk to you for another hour.
It's been great.
Hey, I'm a fan of prayer on the
absolutely.
podcast because I'm a fan of prayer in real life. I think it moves. I'm going out on a limb, but would you care to pray to close this out?
I can pray.
Perfect.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day you've given to us. Thank you for your blessing of another beautiful day, and this opportunity that we had together today to network and collaborate with guys in the same profession here, the shed haulers, and we pray a special blessing on them today as some of them are traveling home, and might you just grant them safety throughout the next year as well in their shed endeavors. And also a blessing on Shannon and his wife here as they do what they do with the shed world and networking, helping with networking. Might you just give them a blessing as well. Guide us and direct us. We pray it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Appreciate you being on, man.
Yeah.
It's been good.
Great.
Yeah.
Yep.